This whole time I was just like, okay, you can start now.
Nope, it's you this time.
I forgot.
Because the program we're using, Zencaster, is great. Don't get me wrong, but for some reason it was not a fan of us being in the same room. So that's
I don't know why. I kept clicking it and it was just like, it's you. You only. Good luck.
I don't know how that works.
And you were just like, where are you? And I'm like,
Yeah.
where are you?
It'd be like that.
It is what it is. How are you?
I am capital E exhausted. How are
Exhausted.
you?
TM. I am also. Okay, so I'm not tired. The issue is I have a headache, but
So,
it's fine.
did
I
you
will
take
eat
something for
food.
it?
I took something for it at like 12, so I could probably take something for it
I was
now.
like, it's been 6 hours. More than that, you can probably take some more ibuprofen and you'll be pretty safe.
Yeah, I think so. I'm already sitting though. Do you see the problem? That
Oh,
involves getting up, going all the way down the stairs, trying to find ibuprofen, and then coming all the way back. I don't think I have any actually here.
oh, you better get some.
Yeah,
I
that's probably a good
sat down
idea.
on the couch while I was waiting for you to be ready to record, and I was like, I have to stand back up to go to the guest room.
You were like, oh, this couch is so cozy. I could just.
Basically. So the beginning of the month, well, okay, back up. Mondays are always kind of stressful because those people do not know how to function without anybody around. Number two, the beginning of the month is when rent is due, so I'm constantly bombarded by residents who are handing me their rent checks, and the rent just went up because they got a social security increase back in January, and so now they're like, I don't understand, why did my rent go up? And I was like, you got more social security in January. Well, yeah, but why did my rent go up? Well, because you live in income-based housing, they're going to take everything but what is required by law.
Yeah, basically. Why are you surprised?
It's just today was just I am like exhausted. But how are you? Other than your
I am
headache?
good. Other than my headache, I am good. I am gearing into the spooky. I'm gonna try and watch a spooky movie like 2 or 3 times a week so I can really get the most out of my October, you know?
Yeah, I get it. We still have to
So
watch that babysitter movie.
I know, I feel so bad. We can probably watch it tomorrow night, as long as you're not editing forever.
I try to stop editing by 8 o'clock. I try not to go too late into editing because I know
Yeah,
that
because
Pasta
then.
wants me to spend time with her.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only thing about tomorrow is I might have a phone call with my middle younger brother.
Oh, okay. The
But
worst thing is.
he told me he would call me like after I got off work, and I get off at 5. So the worst thing is I don't edit tomorrow, and I just talk to him, and then we hang out and watch a movie.
And then you crunch edit
Yeah,
on Wednesday and Thursday, Jesus.
you know how it is. So do you have highs and lows?
My low is this fucking headache. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, that's a
I don't
legitimate
think
low
I
to have.
have a lot of lows
Oh, that's
other
good.
than I was very tired this weekend, but other than that, my high is being able to still do stuff for the house and set up more, and
Nice.
I don't know, I just feel good about where I'm living and stuff. And I also like retouched up my hair and stuff. I don't know.
Yay.
I just feel good in general,
That's
but
good.
what are your highs and lows?
My lows, I don't have super many lows this week, surprisingly enough. I mean, obviously I'm just exhausted, but that's, that is what it is when you work in healthcare during a pandemic. That's just I'm so exhausted it's become like a personality trait. So
You're like, it's Angel, the exhausted.
yeah. So my highs though are, well, I have a couple of them, so that's good. My highs are that I don't remember if I said this last week, but I definitely started decorating for Halloween, which I'm very excited about because we have all of these cute Halloween decorations that I have collected over the past couple of years.
Ah, so
I
I need to
wasn't
buy more.
I
I don't
was
have
not
enough.
raised in an environment where Halloween was as big of a deal as it is to like me and my friend group. So I never collected Halloween decorations. So I only have started collecting Halloween decorations maybe in the past couple of years or so. The other high I have is that on Saturday I did did a little bit of yard work, and as unfortunate as it is, I kind of dug up my vegetable garden and my flower garden because they were
No.
just, I know that sounds like a low, but they were just overgrown and ugly. Nothing was super healthy anymore.
So you're
So
like, fine, I'll start over.
yeah, no, that's really what it is. I dug it up. I'm going to start over. I did save some vegetables to put the seeds back in. I had a couple of peppers and some tomatoes. So, yeah. So I know that sounds like it would be low, but it's actually been something because it's been
Could be worse.
overgrown. It's something that's been like bothering me for a while. And now I look at the backyard and I'm like, okay, I feel less anxious about how my backyard looks. So that's just, Oh, the other thing I did, which I don't know when I did it or when I mentioned it, but I replaced the light in my hallway. So it looked like this.
Oh, I saw that. It
Yeah,
looked really good.
it looked like this old 80s light
Probably
before,
was,
and
to
I
be
hated
honest.
it. And then I replaced it with this like modern looking thing, and then I posted it on my personal Instagram. And my brother commented, "It's a ceiling titty."
To be fair, it is a ceiling
It does
titty,
look a little bit like a ceiling titty.
but it is better than the old light, which looked, like you said, like an old 80s light.
Yeah. But I really like it a lot, and it just kind of makes me feel a little bit like it's a small thing, but it's home improvement. So that is what that's.
And it's not even like super expensive or hard to
No,
do.
I literally bought it on Amazon for $17 and it looks great. So, and I did it literally all by myself, and I'm afraid of electricity. I am no electrician. So,
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I did it. I didn't die. It was amazing.
yeah.
So what do you have some spooks for
I
me?
do have some spooks. So, in the spirit of Halloween, I decided I did have a different story lined up. I was going to do a true crime story, but I decided for in the spirit of Halloween, instead of doing the true crime one that I did have lined up, and don't worry, I will get back to it, I am going to talk about the haunted Fort Benning, Georgia. Do you know, do you know
Oh.
anything about this?
Not a lot, but I've heard of it.
Okay, so I know about Fort Benning mostly because that's where the middle of my younger brother is the one who's in the army. That's where he did basic training.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
like a personal thing too.
Yeah, a little bit. And I did ask him, so I'll read you the conversation that we had about it.
Okay, cool.
So I said, "Did you ever hear that Fort Benning was haunted?" He said, "Oh, it's very haunted." I said, "Do you have any stories?" He said, "I personally have none, but I know just a couple." And then there was a story about when he was stationed in Korea. There was a story about a Ouija board and some other things. So I had said, "Where were you that your computer was broken and the shower was on when you got back to the barracks? And would you be willing to tell me that story?" So I guess just a little side story. He said, "Oh, yeah, so my roommate played with the Ouija board in Korea, and the next day he left for work, and then I did. When I came back from work, I saw him talking with the guy that lived in the building, and when I went inside, I noticed the shower was on. I went outside and asked him who was in our shower, and he didn't know what I was talking about, so we both
Oh, ew.
went to go check it out, and the door was locked. We had to pretty
Oh,
much kick it in.
no.
The door did
No.
not have locks set, and there was no one in the shower, and the room was entirely steamed up. After that, we turned the shower
Oh.
off. He went to his room, and I went to mine. He turned on his Xbox, and I turned on my computer. My computer had a large crack in the screen, and his Xbox had the red ring of death.
Oh my god. This is why you don't fuck with Ouija
Yeah.
boards.
Thinking that someone was messing with us, we went and checked the CCTV, which was a closed circuit television. Obviously, I know what CCTV is, but my brother thinks I'm a dumbass, so it's fine.
Apparently, he's like, let me explain it for you, sweetie.
Basically, we ran back the video from the moment he and I left for work into the moment we came back and saw that no one had gone inside or outside of our barracks. We
Yeah.
watched the video and he had unlocked his door, and right as he was about to walk inside, the guy I saw him talking to walked up and started talking to him. Okay, so he never made it inside his apartment. I walked up myself and went inside, then came out 20 minutes later, headed back down to check the recordings. The only thing of note about the whole situation was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The cameras flickered a little bit, but other than that, there were no actual proof of anyone inside or outside of our room.
That's insane.
That was not in Fort Benning, but that was just a story that he had from in Korea.
Very interesting.
Anyway, so I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Real quick, my sources are militaryliving.com. I got a little bit of the history from Wikipedia, fortbenninghousing.com, fayettevilleobserver.com, and ghostsofamerica.com. And then a little bit of like my own personal knowledge. I can't cite that other than just because.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to before this was Fort Benning. It was actually land that belonged to Creek Native Americans, and their village in this area that became Fort Benning was named Kashita, which in the native language of the Native Americans, meant peace town, and it was located where the main post on Fort Benning is now. According to legend, an English agent by the name of Colonel John Tate was sent to the area to rally support for King George during the Revolutionary War. But while he was there, he fell in love with the chief's daughter. Her name was Sahoya or Sehoy. The sources kind of vary depending on what you read.
Oh, interesting.
And instead of rallying support for King George, he stayed with them to live among them and married Sahoya instead. So, while a group of the Creek people were on their way to what we now know as the Battle of Augusta, Tate actually died. And this was in 1781. And he fell ill to some kind of illness and he went bad and just died.
Okay.
So instead
As that happens.
well, it's 1871. What are you going to do? So instead of continuing forward, the group turned back to their village and they laid Tate to rest on Woolfolk's Hill, which is now known as Riverside, which is a building in Fort Benning where the commanding officers of the fort live, and it is largely known as the most haunted building in the whole of Fort Benning.
Oh, great.
And I just said this, but fun fact, Riverside is the home of Fort Benning's commanding generals and has been since 1919. So,
okay.
fast forward to 1918, the area was assigned as an infantry and military basic training camp called Camp Benning in World War I. And it was named after a Confederate general, but I didn't put that really in my notes because fuck the Confederacy and white supremacy. So,
yes, bitch.
In February of 1920, Camp Benning was declared a permanent military post by Congress and was allocated more than $1 million for building what is now the infantry school. So by the time fall of 1920 rolled around, more than 7,000 military personnel lived at Camp Benning. So in 1922, Camp Benning graduated from camp to Fort Benning, and that was passed through Congress again. So now instead of camp, it's a fort, it's a permanent establishment. Benning was commanded by Major General Campbell King from 1929 to 1933, and he had a daughter named Barbara. Barbara fell in love with the Major General's driver, which did not sit well with King, and so he sent the young soldier, who is unnamed in the sources that I looked at, he
does not exist.
Yeah, he sent him away to a different post because he did not want his daughter messing with the rabble. I'm not really sure. Soon after, Barbara passed away due to a, quote, sudden and unexpected illness in January of 1933.
Oh, but as that happens,
Well, it's kind of implied that was like
it was
the
suspicious.
Newspaper. Yeah, that was in the newspaper clippings, but it's kind of implied that she committed suicide.
That's upsetting.
Which is very sad.
Or like a sudden illness. Oh no, she fell.
Yeah, don't kill yourself for a man. They're not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. In April of 1941, so this is a little bit of a dark history, but I think it's super important to mention. The first and only documented lynching on an American military base happened to a 19-year-old black soldier by the name of Felix Hall. So that was very sad.
That's how it always goes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this led to national outrage, and investigation into the incident led to several suspects, but nobody was apprehended. And unfortunately, in December of 1941, obviously that was the Pearl Harbor bombing, and that took focus off of the Felix Hall investigation. And the case just went unsolved and is still unsolved to this day.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes.
So now in World War II, Fort Benning became a primary infantry and airborne training center, as well as an officer candidate school. And by the time the end of World War II rolled around, Fort Benning had developed and refined a new infantry and combined arms tactics based on combat experience. That's a lot of words to say they're pretty good. A pretty good basic training place.
Like, okay.
So another fun fact, Benning is where the 555th Parachute Infantry Battalion was trained, and that's an important note and worth mentioning because this battalion was an all-black unit. It was the first of its kind as an all-black unit, and
that's awesome.
It was nicknamed the Triple Nickels.
I don't know if I like that, but
the way I understood it, it didn't seem like...
It seems to me racist, but that's just me looking through because of the ends, like triple nickel. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really sure.
It's just weird.
The way that I read it, it didn't seem like it was something derogatory is the word I'm looking for. It was not a derogatory
Like they tried to make it sound like it never popped up as derogatory.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It might sound derogatory now in the 2020 lens that we look through life at, but at the time, it wasn't intended to be. So, in 1950, Fort Benning became the home of the Ranger School, which they still continue Ranger training there today. In 1963, the 11th Air Assault Division was formed to develop, test, and use the Army's new helicopter-based air assault tactics, which today are continued to be used. Another fun fact. Fun facts everywhere. For many years, Fort Benning was the site for military dog training. And that's what when my body was not broken. As you know, I had dreams of
I
being in
feel
the
that.
military and I wanted to be an MP dog trainer. So the last thing that I will mention is as recently as 2011, Native American bones and artifacts have been unearthed during utility projects and remodeling projects on the base. So that's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
So we're going to get into the spooks now that I've bored you with all
Yay,
of the history.
It's not boring. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Get
So
in.
some of it I did know about, like I said, but some of that I didn't know about. Like, well, the lynching obviously is the sad part, but the parachute battalion, that was super cool.
Just stuff that wasn't ever really
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah, so I just thought that was cool. So, as I mentioned in the history, Riverside is the home of where the commanding officers of the base live, and it is likely the most haunted spot in the whole of Fort Benning. So, residents have experienced the odd kinds of occurrences that you would expect to come with hauntings, which include like moving cold spots, the sounds of children playing when there are no children in the house, the sounds of someone playing harmonica in the middle of the night, a cat
It's a weird thing
staring
to do in the middle of the night, but
yeah,
okay.
like their pets staring at something that was not in the room. I hate when my cats do that. I'm like, what do your cat eyes see? There is a little girl ghost who is friendly but
Nope.
occasionally mischievous. I know.
Nope. I don't care how
And
friendly. I'm drop
she,
kicking her.
yeah, she hides toys around the house and she turns electronics on and off.
Okay. At least she doesn't like scare you in the middle of the night and touch toes or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Why did you say touch toes?
I don't know. I was
No.
thinking, do you remember the what is the thing that we talked about that like touch
Oh, El Duende with the
Yeah, yeah,
toenails.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the first thing that popped up in my head. I was like, ugh.
I hate that. That was like episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go back and listen to that. In reference to this little girl, when she is asked to leave for a while, she complies, but returns when the family has like a baby or introduces a new person or pet into the house, and she brings a friend with her. The newest guest dresses as one would expect a nanny or a nurse to have dressed in the early 20th century in long dark dress and a white apron.
Eric just tried to come in here with pizza and wine, and I'm like, bad timing. Like, let's wait until afterwards because
Best
I
time.
need to. Yeah, but then I can't respond and
There's
stuff,
never a
so-
bad time for pizza and wine.
after podcast.
Fair enough. So, going back to Colonel Tate, it is said that he has been haunting Fort Benning for as long as it has been an establishment. Military
He
personnel
doesn't want to leave.
It's true. Military personnel at the fort have reported seeing a ghostly figure that they assume to be Colonel Tate riding on horseback down Benning Hill toward Torch Hill. And I don't super remember the layout of the fort that well, but I know that these are streets and roads within the fort. So the ghost has been accused of causing automobile accidents because you'll just like see like a man on horseback and you're like, what the fuck? And then
So they get so distracted that they.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And one of the former first ladies of Fort Benning claims that he would walk around Riverside around the house on foot and she could just constantly hear his footsteps. Like to the point where she would have to like go running in order to like make herself so tired that she could sleep through it.
No.
Other residents of Riverside report that their items would move around the house, and another former first lady said that her lipstick would move around the bedroom after she applied it.
She puts it on and she goes to go and she's like, oh, just a touch. Where'd it go? Where did I drop it?
Yeah, essentially.
Where did it go?
Yeah. Yeah, she's like patting all her pockets.
She's checking the floor.
Yeah. It's always like
It's on the ceiling. You look up, you're like, fucking hell. Not again.
You're just like, I know I did not put my lipstick in the toilet. Why is it in the toilet?
Why is it in the toilet? I will say I have dropped lipstick in the toilet and it was very sad.
Oh, yeah. So just a short distance away from Riverside is Building 35, which is now known as Soldier Services Building, but used to be the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation, and a spirit assumed to be Tate would haunt that building back when it was the Western Hemisphere, blah, 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 blah. By slamming doors, he would move books around, pile chairs on top of tables, and lock people out of their offices, which, like, honestly, when I die and become a ghost, I'm gonna lock my boss
You're
out
gonna
of
be
their
like,
office.
locked. Ha 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 ha. Psych.
The building was renovated when it became the Social Services Building, and apparently nobody's reported as much activity since then, but the haunted stories still stick around, which is kind of the opposite of what you expect. Like, usually when you start renovating a house, that's when all the activity happens.
Yeah, because you upset them.
Yeah, but this is the opposite, where he, like, stopped, I guess. He was like, I don't recognize this building anymore, whatever.
It's like, wow, you know what? This doesn't feel like home. And he
Yeah.
goes away.
Yeah, exactly. So Tate is not the only spirit that hangs around the fort. Barbara is said to haunt Riverside, which she obviously, as the commanding officer's daughter, once called her home. While most people encounter her report that she is sweet and gentle spirit, she is also known to be a little bit mischievous, and especially around Christmas time, there are stories that she has thrown Christmas presents around the room and moved books in the living room and things like that. So I don't know what
Not the
she's got
Christmas
against Christmas.
presents. Not the Christmas presents.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she has against Christmas presents.
I don't either.
So here's a fun another fun fact for you. Fort Benning has over 60 cemeteries, which
What
does
the
not
fuck?
include the Native American burial grounds that were moved or paved over when the land was taken for Camp Benning.
Why so many? Jesus.
Well, I will answer that question for you.
Oh, thank you. I very much appreciate it.
Most of the cemeteries are, like, super small and privately owned / they're for specific family members, but there's still like 60 of them, so that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So cemetery number 2 was owned by a family called the Parkmans. And
Wait. Are we gonna go through all 60?
no.
Oh my god. I love you, but no one wants to hear about all 60, you know?
No. I'm gonna be talking
Okay,
specifically
sorry.
about cemetery number 2. It should have been your first clue when I skipped number 1 and went to number 2.
Still, though, I was like, oh no.
No, we're not gonna
I
go
was
through
like,
all
oh
60.
no. Okay,
There's
go
only
ahead.
really information about a handful of them, but there was
Okay,
it
that makes
wasn't
more
like
sense.
that interesting. It was like, oh, there's orbs in your camera. Like, yeah, okay. And
Yeah,
like,
so is everywhere else. Okay,
yeah.
moving on.
I heard rustling in the trees. I'm like, dude, it was Georgia in the
It's
wintertime.
windy.
It's windy. Anyway, so, but there was enough about cemetery number 2 that I decided to add a little bit about it. So this land was owned by a family called the Parkmans, and their land was kind of absorbed into the Fort Benning area, but they didn't super want it to be. So there is a disgruntled ghost of a David Richard Parkman who may or may not be buried in cemetery number 2. And there is uncertainty about whether or not he is, because there is no mark of his grave. So he's, like I said, a disgruntled spirit. And in the buildings along Santa Fe Road, which is also where cemetery number 2 is located. In any of the buildings, you can just pick one. He is known to throw things off of bookshelves, move things around the buildings, like put a chair from one building to another building, apparently, which is like, what? How does that work?
Yeah, what the fuck?
He makes appearances to staff and soldiers who show up to work early or stay at work late. And Parkman's spirit is actually one of the most well-known spirits on base.
That's crazy though. He's just hanging out.
Yeah. So another spirit that lives on base, I actually kind of referenced her earlier, but she doesn't have a name, at least that I could find. But she's on Boutsell Avenue on the main post. She's dressed in a long dress with a long white apron and a hat like a bonnet hat. And
Okay.
she seems to be like very matronly, very motherly. She takes care of children. She likes to be around children. One woman reports that her baby would be playing with someone that wasn't there, and on one occasion she found him sitting in the middle of his bedroom laughing after she put him down for a nap, even though, like, at the time he was not old enough to pull himself up, let alone climb out of the crib on his own. So that's a note from me.
Yeah, that's also a note for me and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone agreed. They're like, no.
Yeah. So this spirit also likes to play with the electricity. She turns the lights on and off and other electronics while people are using them, which is like, dude, I'm trying to watch TV. Will you just settle the fuck down for a minute?
Seriously, what the fuck?
And this caretaker spirit is the one who plays harmonica for everyone conveniently after they have already turned in for the night. She's like, let me just lull you to sleep with the
Let me
soothing
just.
sounds of my harmonica.
Yeah, I love my harmonica. It really, really makes it makes me float away to sleep.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, it's like, no, shut the fuck up.
So, to wrap things up, I'm going to read you two different stories. They're short, so they won't take too much longer, but here we go. So, the first story is by somebody who was stationed at Fort Benning back in the early 2000s. He has this to say, quote, "When I was stationed at Fort Benning, I was living on post with my infant son. I woke up at about 2 a.m. to the sounds of a loud musical ring. I cautiously walked towards the sound to see that the arched overhead baby toy was flashing and playing music. I stood there in shock for a minute, and then it stopped. My son was too little to play with this, so it had never been touched, and I didn't even know how to turn it on. I threw it
Oh.
out the next day upon finding that I hadn't even put batteries in it yet." Oh, no.
No, thank you.
So the second story I have here is this comes to me from my parents who told me this years later in my life. When I was 3 years old, we lived at Fort Benning in one of the townhomes. I don't recall the name of the place, but I remember it being a townhouse that was half bricked. It had a screened in front door and a large fenced backyard with a forest behind it. I was only a child at the time when we moved in, and I had gained an imaginary friend. My parents dismissed it as it being normal since I was alone and I had a large imagination. They would find me often laughing and talking to nothing. When asked, I would answer that I was talking to Bobby. They asked me to describe Bobby once, and I described him as a man who was dressed like a soldier. Again, it was dismissed because they assumed I was creating a friend out of my dad being in the military, until things began to happen. One night, our entertainment center came on full blast in the middle of the night, scaring everyone. We
Oh
had
my
no
god.
which is like absolutely not. We had no explanation as to how it happened. Then, another time, my father awoke to find his military boots moved to the front door as if someone took them off when coming in. When he asked if I did it, I said it was Bobby. Apparently, my dad and grandma once saw a man standing in the upstairs hallway as clear
Nope.
as day.
No.
I have no idea if anyone has similar stories to this, but it doesn't surprise me that it had something attached to it.
Oh. I'm good, thanks.
Anyway, so that is the story of Fort Benning, Georgia.
Wow, thanks for the chills that I'm gonna be experiencing right before I go to sleep. I
Did you
appreciate
enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yay. You're like, I don't know.
Have you seen the thing where it's like, do you like it? And it's like, in this moment, I could be an asshole. And then it just is someone going, yes, I like it.
I thought that was pretty good for October.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good indeed, I will say.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing.
I guess you have some gaming news for me, but before we start, what have you been playing? Anything different?
I started playing Among Us, which is going to be brought up later as well, but
okay.
I bought Among Us and I
Okay.
played it on PC and it's pretty fun. It was only $5 on Steam. On your phone it's free. But on
Really?
PC it's $5. It's not like it takes a lot of bandwidth to play the game. So like
I guess that's fair.
But yeah, it's really fun. It's just basically like it's basically Werewolf. When we played One Night Ultimate Werewolf, it's like that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's pretty awesome. And I've also been playing Dead by Daylight because obviously who wouldn't want to play as a killer in the month of October?
Right.
And yeah, so it's been playing that. I think Eric and I are going to start Unravel 2. By the time this comes out, we'll have already played it, but we haven't started it yet.
Okay.
We've also been playing Overcooked 2.
Oh.
So, very fun. What have you been playing?
So I've actually still been playing Child of Light. When I first bought the game, I thought it was going to be like a little bit shorter than it was, but I think the last time I looked at it, I've put in like close to 10 or 15 hours, which I was super surprised by because it went by really fast.
Yeah, seriously.
It's a really fun game though. I'm super enjoying it. I absolutely love it. It's
Maybe
beautiful.
I will get into it just to see.
Yeah, it's beautiful art. It's like storybook art style. It's a great little story. There was like a twist that I didn't necessarily see coming. So, but I
Oh.
think I'm pretty close to the end because the way that when you level up, you get skill points and you can kind of see where the skill trees end.
Mhm.
And I'm getting there. So I'm pretty close. I think I'm pretty close to the end. So I'll probably, by
Okay,
the time
cool.
we record next week, I will probably be done with it. I have
If
also
not,
been,
pretty close to it.
yeah, I have also been playing the Halloween update in Animal Crossing.
I have not picked up Animal Crossing in like 4 months.
Yeah.
We need to
So,
do the Halloween party,
yes.
and then that will be the time that I pick it up. But
So,
so
gaming news. Hit me with it.
one of the first things I have is obviously Cyberpunk 2077 is coming around on the horizon, which I'm super excited about.
I'm so excited about.
It's so
Kate, Kate
exciting.
looked at me the other day and she was like, I'm surprised you haven't pre ordered it yet. And I was like, oh, I'm hoping somebody gets it to me for Christmas.
But yeah, so basically, with everything going on, I'm super excited about Cyberpunk 2077. It comes out November 19th. So we're getting very, very close to it. We're just over a little bit over a month. But the map for 2077 was released finally. Night City.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it. I will also link it to you so you can post it on our blog and stuff so
Yeah.
other people can see it. But
Yeah.
the map is out, so it's really, really cool. Also, CD Projekt Red did claim that Cyber 2077 would be slightly shorter than The Witcher 3. I don't
Slightly.
know. Slightly,
It's-
which means not
Witcher
at all.
3 was a fucking long ass game. So I don't feel
I
like I'm
mean,
going to be upset.
I'd rather games be long than short because when they're too short, you're like, that's it. Especially a game that you're going to be paying $60 for. Like, that's not a game
Yeah.
I'm waiting
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So, the next thing I have is Minecraft Dungeons, which have you played Minecraft Dungeons yet? Because I have, and it's amazing.
I have not. I honestly played the Minecraft beta like way back in the day and haven't super got into it since.
Well, I have Minecraft and I have a Minecraft server, but when Minecraft Dungeons came out, I just didn't think about it. I was like, yeah, I mean, I already play Minecraft, like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's an action game, obviously more so. Minecraft is pretty chill, so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my friend bought it for me. Shout out to Hunter.
Oh, thanks, Hunter.
And we played
Hunter's the one who makes us all our memes.
yes, Hunter makes us the best memes. But we played together and it's really fun and it's honestly more fun as like a team thing. So,
Okay.
totally
Well,
worth it.
maybe I'll get into it and then we can play together.
Yeah, it's super fun. But the reason I bring it up is because they're coming out with a new DLC. So there's a season pass that will be coming out in December apparently, and DLC which will be Howling Peaks DLC comes out soon, and then they're coming out with Apocalypse Plus, which is set to show up in December, and it says that it will expand the game's challenges further by adding another 20 new difficulties after Apocalypse 7. Currently, the highest difficulty level is 7 in the most challenging mode Apocalypse the game has to offer. So they're adding a couple different things, but it'll be very interesting to see how that goes because I know people are like they want Minecraft Dungeons to keep going, and if they don't add more, it's just like it's not something that for me at least, I wouldn't replay it like the old levels that much.
Okay.
So they're trying to add more so that it doesn't get stale.
That's good.
The next thing I have is Fall Guys Season 2 is coming out on October 8th, and they're coming out with new
Isn't that one like the medieval themed levels?
yes, medieval themed, exactly that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, how
they'll have
exciting.
new outfits, progression tracks, and levels, as well as some fixes and stuff. Because there are a bunch of things that people had noticed, and they're like, what about this thing? So now I will read it just verbatim.
Okay.
The issue that people are having is that you think that you'll have the momentum to jump to the other side as the bridge lifts, only for the other side to rise just out of reach at the last millisecond. The different sides aren't in sync either, so between tracking a packed lobby of players and 6 independently oscillating platforms, I'm thinking this will be a digital image I scream at often. So they're trying to fix that kind of stuff.
Oh, I see.
So now hopefully they actually fix it.
Yeah.
And because it is true, like when you're playing with a bunch of people, nothing's in sync in that game. Like
That's true. That's true.
so it hopefully a lot of that stuff gets fixed. And yeah, I'm excited. The outfits are pretty cute. They're pretty cute. I haven't played Fall Guys like a ton, but it is fun.
Yeah. No, I
You wanna
haven't played
feel
a ton
super
either,
quick.
but I super enjoy it.
It's funny, especially
Yeah.
if you're playing with friends. Funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next thing I have is Among Us, just general stuff. I wanted to talk about it only because it's blown up so much in the past
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You can download it and play it for free on your phone. On
Mm-hmm.
PC, I know on Steam
I
it's
just
$5.
downloaded it after you said that. I just downloaded
Okay.
it on my phone, so I'm gonna play it later.
If you actually use your Google Play account, I believe it's free.
I mean,
So,
I have an iOS, and it was still free.
yeah,
So
exactly. Online, at least through Steam, I only paid $5 for it. I'm perfectly fine paying $5 for something to support somebody. So, you
and
can.
also like this game blew up because of Twitch streamers and their ability to like kind of call out, and they were just like, this is like an indie game. This isn't like a big game. This is an indie
No,
game.
like it's
So
a
that was
tiny
exciting.
group of
So
people that created this.
yeah,
So,
I'm really excited to see that like indie games are getting the attention they deserve, because often
they don't.
indie games break molds in ways that AAA games can't, because those developers would be afraid of doing something that would cost them
I
money.
mean,
The
like,
indie
look at
developers
how
are like,
big
we
Among
can,
Us
yeah.
and Fall Guys have gotten in a span of only a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
exactly. So I think that that's great. I am all about supporting indie developers and indie
Which is
players.
why I'm like, you know what? $5 is $5. That's
Yeah.
a Starbucks. That's one meal like out for fast food. Like I
Yeah.
can pay $5. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next thing I have is also they have already found cheaters in Among Us, which
Ah,
kind of fucks it up. But it
yeah.
is true. Like, there's also, this has always been a thing, but there's a lot of issues with cheaters. So they said there's two ways to cheat in Among Us. The first is by joining public lobbies with friends and obviously sharing information that way. And then the second one is the more traditional, method where you actually hack in
Yeah.
quotations,
Yeah.
which I've played with Eric back to back, but we
Mhm.
don't look at each other's screens. And I will say, I became an imposter once.
Mhm.
He did not know it. And up until this point, we were both crewmates at the same time. Neither one of us had gone imposter. And every time we used the buddy system. So we
Mhm.
would walk together because if you are alone, you're dying. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's how that's going.
Oh,
So
yeah.
me and him just walked together to do our tasks like together so that there was no issues. He was like, I need to go to navigation. I was like, okay. And I'm standing next to him. I wait for him to almost complete the task and I shanked him. And then
Wow, you
I
beat.
ran I ran away from his body and he went, "What? What happened?" And I said, "I killed you." And he was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" He's like, "I didn't know you were an imposter." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he turned around and as soon as he turned around, I killed somebody else. It took someone over a minute to find his body.
Oh, wow.
They found his body and reported it and they were like, "There's a body in navigation." And no one knew it was me. I was so far away from the body at that point and then later later they were like yelling at each other about something and then I just said like, "Oh, I think it was them." And they just kept killing each other. I fucking won. No one knew it was me. I just kept killing people. It was great.
Nice.
Basically what wound up happening was they kept killing each other and then you can sabotage
Mhm.
things on the ship. So I fucked up the O2 tank and
Mhm.
they didn't fix it in time, so they all died. It
Nice.
was amazing. It was so good.
I can't wait to play it. I'm sure, given my history of games similar to this, that I will be the worst imposter ever, but I'm still willing to give it a try.
Yeah, no, definitely give it a try. I suggest other people give it a try because it's free on your phone. At
Yeah,
least try
sure.
it once.
Yeah.
But that's all I have for you.
Okay. Well, that was good. Fun. Oh, did you want to mention about the joy?
Oh, sorry, there
Yeah.
is one other thing.
Yeah, it's kind of an
Um,
important thing.
it is important. I forgot. Sorry.
It's okay.
So, Nintendo apparently reported that their Joy-Con drift wasn't a real problem and hasn't caused anyone any inconvenience, but as
Bullshit.
everyone I know that has a Nintendo Switch has basically all said that they had Joy-Con drift at some point. So they are filing a class action lawsuit. So if you want to take part in this, you can send a short video, 90 seconds or less, to an email. And the email is Nintendo Class Action at CHIM as in Mary, ICLES.com, explaining the impact of the Joy-Con drift and kind of a montage of anything that proves that your Joy-Con drift is happening, and just send it on over to them. That way we can hopefully get this fixed. So we'll
I
see.
have like a really big problem. I've been suffering with the Joy-Con drift for a heck of a long time. Understand, I bought my Nintendo Switch, I pre ordered it, and then picked it up midnight release opening night. And I have been dealing with my Joy-Con drift for nearly that long. And I
Same.
literally don't think that I should have to pay for new Joy-Con or
Yeah,
pay to
just
get
because
my
it's
Joy-Con
fucked up.
fixed because fixed because of
Because that's
neglect.
something I
But
didn't
I
do.
don't button mash. I'm not rough with my
I also
Nintendo.
don't drop my shit on the
Yeah,
floor, like,
so it's just
it
like,
started doing that before, anything,
yeah.
so hopefully
So
hopefully
hopefully
they're
something comes of this, and I have already submitted my video to that email that you have read, and
yeah,
that link came
hopefully
from a friend of mine who doesn't listen to the podcast because she's not a big podcast listener, not necessarily because she doesn't like our podcast, but she knew that we did this podcast and that it would be something that we would,
beneficial to it.
yeah. So
Well, thank you,
thank you,
friend.
Rachel. I know you probably won't hear this, but thank you anyway.
Well, thank you for listening today, and if you want to interact with us, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find us basically if you just type in Ghoul Gaming Gals, we'll
Yeah.
come up.
Yeah.
Please look at Angel's hard work on the website as always at ghoulgaminggals.com. Take a look at our Patreon, Ghoul Gaming Gals.
Which
Easy
you have
peasy.
also worked very hard on. So
I have, and there's also some new things coming to Patreon soon, so
ooh.
just keep an eye for it. And if you want to submit stories or just suggestions in general, you can use our tab on ghoulgaminggals.com, or you can email us at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com, whatever
Yeah.
works best for you. Watch us on Twitch, as always.
Janelle is
If
Janelle Nelly, and I am Arya Makila. We
mhm.
usually post on Janelle's, I'll be honest. Like, I don't stream as often as Janelle
Yeah.
does, but we usually do on Janelle's.
And please play Unravel 2 if you can, so we can
Yeah,
talk about it on the
yeah.
pod, or well, not you specifically play it,
Well,
but
I know.
our
But our
listeners, please play
listeners.
Unravel 2 and interact with us. Tell us how you're liking it, and we will
Yeah.
talk about it probably in the next one because it was still too early, I feel like, to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, we can talk about it at the end of the month, even if we want to give people like some time to catch up,
Yeah,
because
I guess that's true.
some people don't listen to us right away. I know my
Yeah,
dad
and
only
I don't.
listens to us when he has a ton of time. So,
Yeah, and I don't really listen to podcasts like the day they come out.
yeah, not always. Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely interact with us. Tell us how that's going. Watch some spooky movies. Please suggest some for us. And happy Spooktober, everybody.
Yeah, and also I apologize for my dogs in the background. I don't know what they're going crazy
Just
about, but
one
I'm
at
about to
this
go find
point.
out.
But goodbye, everybody.
Okie dokie.